chamber perspective.
This video is brought to you by Charco Design and Build.
Hi everybody, George Chamberlin here, executive editor for the Daily Transcript. Just finished up a very fascinating roundtable on the maritime industry here in San Diego. Lots going on, more than most people know about, and you do want to check that out. James Palin was the reporter in the room, and he'll be doing some content for the website and for the publication. You really ought to check on that. We're really fortunate to have join us for the roundtable is a gentleman who's certainly, obviously well known here in San Diego, the former mayor of the city of San Diego. Jerry Sanders joins us, who is now in his new position as the president CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. Really good to see you again.
Well, it's nice to see you, George. Thanks for inviting me down.
What's the protocol? Do I still call you Mr. Mayor, or how
No, my name never changed. It's always been Jerry.
Okay, good. We'll go with that. Jerry, first of all, tell us a little bit. I know you had a chance to kind of, you and your wife, refresh after your term as mayor, and took a great trip. And how'd that go?
Well, it went great. We left for Italy for 3 months in early January, and that was really by design. Some things you don't want to see occur, and that's a transition. But also as a chance just to reacquaint ourselves and to refresh, as you said. Spent 3 months all over Italy and Sicily and the Amalfi Coast and Tuscany and Liguria and Abruzzo. Came back fully refreshed and started at the Chamber 2.5 weeks ago, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
And that was in the place before you left. You had made that established that relationship with the Chamber. What in the short time you've been back now, what are some of the things you see that are going to be dominating your work with that organization?
Well, I think there have been several topics that have been very important just since I've got back. The Tourism Marketing District is obviously well on its way to being solved now, but that's a lot of jobs in San Diego, a huge number of employees, but also a huge amount of revenue to the city and to the region. Just the fact that we were down to Mexico City last week, we took a delegation of about 60 people, which is about twice the size of any other delegation that's ever gone down, I think shows the interest of issues on the border. We're talking about the border crossings and specifically the U.S. side, which hasn't been fully funded yet, but it's in the president's budget, but also issues in Mexico. The port of Mexico has a very cooperative relationship with San Diego's port. We kind of mirror each other on the west coast of California. It was about a new rail line that needs to be put in that links Plaster City out to the east of us and Mexico. It was about clearing some of the truck traffic out on the south side of the border, and Mexican Customs, while we were down there, said that they would start today, the 23rd, adding some inspectors down there to get that moving more quickly. So it was a great opportunity to go down and talk. We talked with Mexican congressional members, Mexican senators. We also talked with the Speaker of the House. We really had a good opportunity to talk with a lot of folks.
You know, what's interesting is you and I have been around this area for a long time, and we've watched the discussions, the talk about a unified relationship between San Diego, Tijuana, United States, and Mexico. But it just seems to me that in the last year or so, there's been a lot of action finally taking place there.
Well, and I think what's happened is you build relationships, then you can put an action agenda together. And I've worked very closely with Carlos Bustamante, the mayor of Tijuana, for 2.5 years now. He's only got about 6 months left, unfortunately. But I think Bob Filner's actually revitalized that relationship also by putting a trade mission down there, by spending some time on the border and actually trying to understand the issues. And I think he comes at it from being a border congressman. He understands those issues. So I think he's going to be tremendously important as we go back and start lobbying congressional members and Senate members not from California, not from Texas, not from New Mexico, the usual suspects, but instead there are 32 states whose #1 export partner is Mexico. And we need to get to those states, and they're like Iowa, they're Kentucky, they're states that you wouldn't normally think that way, and they don't think that way, and yet having good border crossings, having speed at the border is critical to their economies, and we need to impress that on them.
When you take a look at where we are now, we've been through obviously some tough times in here. In San Diego, you just saw the most recent employment numbers. I mean, we're doing better than the rest of the state. We're doing, in many ways, better than the rest of the country. But still, we have a lot of challenges here. And from a chamber perspective, what are some of the things on your plate?
Well, I think the challenges really revolve around making it easier for business to do business and expand and hire more employees. And we talked about CEQA reform the other day. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to go very far. But there are so many projects that make sense to everybody, and yet CEQA can be abused to stop those projects. And those are the type of projects that create new jobs, create good jobs, create more infrastructure, do a lot of things in a business environment where we really need to have those done. When you talk to business owners, it's the regulation that drives them nuts. They're happy to spend the money on expansion, they're happy to train their people, but it's the unknowns when they're dealing in permitting processes and all the overlaying different governmental agencies that are involved in that makes it very difficult for them to expand. And I think those are the types of things on a statewide basis and a local basis we really need to work on.
And it also is having a ripple effect in that we're told, I don't know it's nearly as serious a situation as some folks in the media would like to make it, that businesses are fleeing from California and San Diego County. I know that there is some of that going on, but I don't know if it's perhaps as rampant as we're told. Do you see any evidence of that?
Well, you know, I think that you hear anecdotal evidence from time to time. I think most people who live in California want to stay in California. But if you're one of the 140,000 people who pay 50% of the income tax in the state of California, we ought to be talking with each one of them, asking them if we can mow their lawns to keep them here or what we can do, because every one of them that leaves, that tax burden is not picked up by others. And I think that's one of the issues we're facing right now with the recent state sales tax and other tax increases. With the whole situation that's going on, you start lumping all those things together, and it's starting to create problems that are going to resonate for years to come. So I think that that's one of the things we really have to take a look at. And somehow we've got to even that taxing out so we're not dependent on so few people for so much of the revenue.
So how you loving the job? What's different, Jerry, from what you're doing now than what you were doing before you went on vacation?
It's certainly a different pace. It's been very busy, but it's not as stressful. And I get an opportunity to get out and talk to a lot more people and to find out the issues that are important to San Diegans, San Diego business, and really to start working in a much more targeted way specifically on business issues instead of having such a broad scope of things to do. So I'm enjoying the job, and it's going to be a good one.
Well, great choice on the part of the chamber to bring you on. You're a guy that's got the best interest of the region at heart, and it's good to see you again, and welcome back.
Well, thank you very much, George. I appreciate it.
Jerry Sanders, again, taking on his new position as CEO President of the Greater San Diego Chamber of Commerce. It's a lot of exciting things going on, that's for sure. Thanks.